Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I am Saint Trick again. We are here celebrating the 12 days of Trickmas, and if you recall, we were so sad. What the? Wait a second. The beard! It's coming back! It's a Trickmas miracle! Magic does exist! And I mentioned in the past video that we will try to make everything work together. Well, this is two turtle doves, two loving. Love is in the air, as you can see. Well, we're covering the games 10-12 Heart, which is kind of like love and turtle doves. And also, because my beard is growing back, thanks to Christmas magic, we are covering the magic shop. So an okay amount of thematic tie-in. We're getting there. We're doing better. And again, we are going to be trying lemon, ginger, and a touch of Manuka honey. But first, we're going to go to the Hall of Hooks that we chatted about to talk about the hooks to these two games. Here we are at the Hall of Hooks, deck the Hall of Hooks, covering the two games that we talked about. We have 10-12 Heart, which is by Yatsuke Matsumoto, I believe. And the hook to this one is a little bit wild, and the teach is a little bit wild, because how it works is it's a 4-player only game. One player is going to be this mastermind where before the trick taking starts, they're going to look at 3 hands of cards, which are going to go to the other 3 players, and they're going to try to guess how many tricks 2 of the hands is going to make. In since I guess the tricks 2 of them are going to make, technically how many tricks the third one's going to make as well, but also how many 7s each hand is going to win, how many 1s, if they're going to win exactly 2 1s, like the range of the ranks, if they're going to win the last or one of the last 2 tricks, a lot of predictions. And then after they make all these predictions, they're going to set that all out in this kind of grid system. Then they're going to give the players the hands. Then they're going to sit there and watch as the other 3 players, player A, B, and C, are going to play a 3-player trick-taking game. But whenever the trick comes to that player, the mastermind player, they're going to reveal a little bit of information of that grid. So it's hidden, actually. So players don't know quite what they're supposed to do until later on in the hand where it slowly gets eked out. That is the hook to 10-12 Heart. It's a wild one. It's a doozy. And then we are covering The Magic Shop by Jupiter's Club, which I think is Anouk Kim, I believe. But they are famous for interesting size boxes. This one is a DVD case, which is jammed to the gills with wild production, amazing production, I'll say. But you'll see that at the table. The hook for now is, it's kind of bid as you go, but the main hook is that each suit has a different power on it. So maybe one suit lets you change your bid card. That's the bid as you go part. Another suit lets you change trump. Another suit lets you change whether highest is strongest or lowest is strongest in a rank. One suit lets you push off the trick, like suspend it to go to the player who wins the next trick. Pretty interesting stuff. You can actually keep suspending all the way down, so you can get to a point where like you win 1 trick and you actually get like 5 tricks. Kind of wild stuff. Anyway, that is kind of the hook of the game. But every time you win a trick with a trump, or if you use an offsuit card for a different power than the lead suit power, you take a thirst token, which helps other players score more if they hit their bid. Wild stuff. I think that was more of an explanation of how the game plays than a hook, but I hope you get it. So let's go to the table and learn how to play the Magic Shop and 10-12 Heart. The deck in 10-12 Heart is made up of 4 suits, and they are close in range, but as you can see on the card, there's little dots to tell you how big they go. So as you can see, this 6 dot here means that the yellow suit goes from 1 to 6, and then green 1 to 7, red 1 to 8, and then finally blue 1 to 9. Here we have a game of 10-12 Heart, and this is going to be a very interesting teach, so bear with me. But essentially, I'm going to do an overview, then I'm going to explain what's going on here because this looks a little messy. So how the game works is it's 4 players only, and there's going to be 3 players who are going to be playing a trick-taking game, and there's going to be 1 player trying to mastermind the outcome of that trick-taking game. So the player whose view you're seeing right now is kind of the mastermind player. Every other player during setup is going to look away. But so how it works is the mastermind player is going to shuffle the deck. They're going to deal 3 hands in front of them, and they are going to try to predict what these hands are going to do. So their leftmost hand is going to go to player A on their left. That player is going to lead into the first trick. That is player A's hand. And then across from them is player B. And so that'll be player B's hand. And then finally, there's a player C, who's going to be the right hand here. And in the game, player A is going to try to fulfill the prophecy that the mastermind is setting out for them. And then player B is going to try to do the same for their row. But A and B are trying to mess over the other A and B. So like, for example, if A is told that they need 5 tricks, then player B wants player A not to get 5 tricks. And then finally, the player C over here is trying to make everything mess up. They're trying to make A mess up and B mess up. So back to the setup, this is the view of the mastermind. And again, all the other players, player A, B, and C, are looking away right now. So first setup is you're going to take the 4 chips that are the different suits in the game. You can flip them face down, shuffle them, wash them, and you're going to flip one over to be the trump suit for the round. So yellow in this round. So now knowing that, the mastermind is going to look at all the hands. They're going to try to predict what's going to happen here. So they know that player A over here, they have kind of the highest in the blue, but they only have 1 trump. So if they're looking around, this player has some blue, so they think that since there's 2 blue, at least in each hand, that this player up here, actually there's 3, interestingly enough, they think this player up here can at least win 3 tricks, but after that, they have kind of a low hand. They're going to take this 3 here and put it underneath the total tricks tile. You can think of this part up here as kind of like a grid, where the row is player A or player B, and the column is that kind of prediction. So like I showed you, you have total trick, you have exact 2, which is exact 2 ones. This is if you think they're going to capture exactly 2 ones. This is if you think they're going to capture either the trump 3 or the trump 5. And the little asterisks on the bottom is how many points they're worth. So those are both worth 2. In fact, everything is kind of worth 2 except for these 2 up top, which was total number of tricks, that's worth the most points, and then the total number of 7s. So getting back to the things you can predict, this is a range of values. So at the end, that player is going to count up all the ranks on the cards that they capture, and is it between 41 or 50? You're going to say yes or no. And then finally, if they're going to win either or both of the 9th and 10th trick. So getting back to this perspective of the mastermind, they're looking at this and they're thinking, well, this player, I think they're going to try to hopefully just lead these 3 blue, win 3 tricks, and then kind of lose the rest. So I'm going to say they're not going to win the last 2 tricks. And that's what these checks and X's are for. And so then now they're looking at the range here and they're thinking, oh, well, if they take all of the blue suit, that is kind of high. So what is that math here? So they're adding up this. They're thinking, okay, 15 plus 9, 24. Oh gosh, I shouldn't do math on the side. 30, 35, 40, 44, 45. They're hitting 45. So they are guessing that they are going to hit or 45, or all they have to do is guess in that range. So then they're guessing if they're going to get the trump 3 or 5. This player's highest trump is the 4, so they think they're going to lose it, so they're going to say no. They're going to put no there. Exactly 2 1s, they think they're only going to get 1 1, so they're going to say no. And how many 7s? They think they're going to get 1 7. So now this player over here, for player A, for the mastermind, they have kind of this very set, prescribed idea for what they want them to do, right? We kind of think they are going to win the first 3 tricks with all blue, run it out, and then they're going to lose the rest, kind of. That's the goal. So then looking at this player here, this is player B. Again, the mastermind can choose anything. They can choose this 7, 8, 9, and 10 if they think the player B is going to win 7 through 10 tricks. But every other number is an exact number. So I think this is pretty much like 7 plus, if you think about it that way. And then the rest are numbers anywhere from 0 through 6, and then a bunch of checks and X's for this part over here. So now, looking at this player hand, how many total tricks do they think they're going to win? They only have the 6 and the 2 of trump, but what's interesting is the yellow actually only goes to 6. So they're definitely at least going to win 1 trick, so that's the highest card in the game. And then over here they have a high 7, so they actually think maybe they can run it to where maybe they can short suit themselves. They might try to get 3 tricks as well. So they're going to give them a 3 there. How many 7s? Well, they have 1 here. They don't really have that much higher, so maybe they just think they're going to get 1. Are they going to get exactly 2 2s? Let's say they think they are. And then finally, are they going to win the trump 3 or 5? They're not sure if they're going to win one, but it looks like unless this player falls with a 1, when they play the 2, they probably will, so they're going to say a check on that one. Let's say they don't think they're going to win that many tricks, or high value tricks, so they're going to put an X there. And then finally, they think they're going to maybe use this trump near the end, so they are going to check off that. These both could be X's, because again, the C player is going to be doing work, right? So if this looked like this, where it was both X's on the back here, this would be the mastermind guessing that the C player is going to take both tricks 9 and 10. but they actually think B hopefully will get one of those too. So now that the mastermind has locked in what they think this grid will be, and they can always swap if they're thinking, oh, maybe they won't take that many or whatever. Once they are 100% ready, the mastermind will now kind of clean up this area and get ready to have the other players play trick taking. So you're going to clear off these so players don't see what they have. We just kind of wipe them off, put them in the game box and hide them off to the side. Then they are going to collect these cards, give them to the players. They give that to player B, this to player A, and this to player C. And then finally, they're going to cover all of them except for 2. And that's a free choice for the mastermind. So maybe they decide to cover all of these. So now there's 2 remaining. And when I said there's 2 remaining, they have to have 1 remaining in each row. So they can't have like this situation at the start. They do have to at least have a bit of information for A and a bit of information for B. But it doesn't have to be the same one or anything, or it doesn't have to be like worth the most points, like total tricks. It can be whatever they want. So in this case, the mastermind has told B, hey, you need 3 tricks. Or maybe they would have swapped it actually. They told A, hey, you need exactly 3 tricks. And then they told B, hey, I want you to collect the 3 or 5 of trump. So now the trick taking will begin. And again, it started with A. And so now A knows, hey, I have to win 3 tricks exactly. And they're thinking, wow, I don't have the best hand. Maybe I could win with this trump, but I can definitely at least win with this 9. So they're going to lead with this. They don't know that everyone's in suit. They're just hoping that the mastermind has kind of set them up well. So now coming to player B, they do have to follow suit. What's funny is they don't want player A to get 9 tricks. So maybe they're playing a little low to try to mess over that player. And then also player C over here doesn't want that to happen either. So they're also going to play a little bit low. What's interesting though is whenever the trick would come to the mastermind player who is at a seated spot, right? They are kind of like player D here. They flip over a token, and it could be any token they want. So maybe they want to tell player B that they should take 3 tricks, or maybe they're noticing like, hey, this player up here isn't sure if they are going to win the trump later, so they're actually going to flip this and say, hey, I don't want you winning any of the later tricks, so please try to win them early right now. So after that turn for the mastermind, then that'll be the end of the trick. So then this player is going to collect that, and then they're going to lead again. So now after another trick and it comes to the other player, maybe again they want to flip some more information, and they could just be giving a ton of information to one player, and they can choose that pace that the information comes out on. And what's interesting is it's always when a trick comes to them. So that was the end of the second trick, but let's say maybe later on, you never want to hide information, later on down the line, the C player has won a trick and they're leading off to the trick. You reveal information not at the end of the trick, but when it comes to you. So just to hammer that home, if the C player was leading this 6, the mastermind would be choosing now to reveal one of the bits of information. So they could reveal, hey, you need to take 3 tricks, or you need to take 3 tricks in the middle of a trick. So then after the mastermind flips, it would then go to player A and you would play out that trick. So flow like this happens for the 10 tricks, and at the very end of the 10 tricks, all of these will be flipped, and then all of those 10 tricks will have gone out to places, and then you will do the scoring. So let's jump forward to that now. Here we are at the end of the round, and so now you're just going to see if players satisfy the scoring, and they're going to get points if they do. Similarly, the mastermind might get points, or player C might get points. So starting off with player A here, they did get 3 tricks. They were told to get 3 tricks by the mastermind. So they're going to get 4 points because that's, again, how many asterisks are on that card. Next, they were told to get exactly 1-7. It looks like they did get that. So they're going to get 3 more points. They were told not to get exactly 2 1s. They only got 1-1, so they did that as well. They were told not to win the trump. They did that as well. We counted them up. It's 45. They did that as well, and they didn't win the last trick. So they actually, across the board, got all those points. So they got, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15 points. So they got 15 points. The mastermind also got 15 points. Coming to player B, though, player B got 2 tricks. They didn't get 3, so they did not get those 4 points. Those actually go to player A, and they also go 4 points, not to the mastermind, but to player C. So what's interesting is it's like A and B are kind of working off each other in a zero-sum way, and then mastermind and player C are working off each other in a zero-sum way. So all the things that don't happen in this grid, those points go to player C, and if they do happen in this grid, they go to the mastermind. And then if they do happen in this grid, they go to that player who satisfied them, and if they don't happen in the grid, they go to the other player who was working against them. So again, player A, they got 4 points for hitting their bid of 3, and they got 4 points for making sure that player B missed their bid. And then the mastermind got 4 points because A got it right, but then player C got 4 points because B missed their 3 bid. So you're going to go through, do that for all of them. You're going to keep track of scores. Then you're going to shift who's the mastermind to the next player clockwise, and you're going to play 4 total rounds, and whoever has the most points at the end wins. And that's how to play 10, 12 heart. The deck in the Magic Shop is made up of 5 suits numbered 0 through 8. If you're playing with 3 players, you're actually going to remove 0s and 8s. Here we have the Magic Shop set up for 3 players. So at 3 players, we took out the 0s and the 8s. Also, you're going to have some cards cut, but at 3 and 4, you're going to shuffle and deal 10 cards to each player. At 5, it's 9 cards to each player. Also, each player will get a card that will keep track of how many points they have, and a little chip that will indicate how many points. You just slide this along when you get some points. Also, you're going to be bidding on the number of tricks you think you're going to take in a round, and you're going to put this over it. So like, for example, if I think I'm going to take 7 tricks in a round, I'll cover it up like that. So in addition, players are going to take the CD out of the DVD box. That actually plays music, which is cool, but it is also the game board for the game. You're going to set it down. You're going to take the trump marker, the crown, and put it on the goblet, the red suit. Then you're also going to take out this power token, and it has an open eye and a closed eye side. You're going to put it open eye side in the center here. And then finally, you're going to take all of the cards that say what each suit's power is, and you're going to put them near that spot. There's also a Japanese side if you speak Japanese. After setup, players are now going to simultaneously bid on the number of tricks they think they're going to win using a card in their hand. So the rank on the card is the number of tricks they think they're going to win. So if this player thinks they're going to take 7 tricks, they'll bid with this card, or maybe if they think they're going to take 6, this one, 4, this one. But also, you can pick any card you want and flip it backward and use the back side of it too. So it's almost like you can just discard a card from your hand and then have any card count as either a 3 or a 0. So like, let's say this player right here didn't want to take any tricks. Well, they have kind of a high hand. Maybe they wanted to only take 3 tricks. They could also get out of the blue suit by flipping this and then using the top part of it as 3. Or again, if they thought they were going to take 7 tricks, they could do that. So players are all going to simultaneously bid. Maybe this player over here thinks they're going to take 3 tricks. And finally, this player over here thinks they're going to take 0, and they also want a short suit in blue. They're going to flip that and go 0 up top. The Magic Shop is a must-follow game. So let's say for the first trick, the first leader is this magic box over here, and they play out this kind of greenish beige suit. It is must-follow. So this player has to play one of those. Maybe they play the 6. And then coming to this player over here, they actually only have 2 options. They only have 2 options because they could win or lose. Let's say they play that. So if all cards are of the lead suit, then it's going to be the strongest of the lead suit, and strongest and not highest, because the power token will change that. But we will cover that when the power token comes into it. For now, it's going to be this 6 over here because it's the highest of the lead suit. They're going to win the trick, but before they collect their trick, they're going to pick one of the powers showing in the trick. So if someone off-suited, there'd be more options, and they're going to pick it to have everyone do, and it's a compulsory, must-be-done thing. So this one right here is everyone pass a card clockwise. So this is simultaneous. So everyone would pass a card clockwise. Obviously, they would choose which card. That was just done randomly. And then the winner of the trick would then lead to the next trick. So maybe this player decides to play a 2. So it is still must follow. And what's interesting is this is the trump suit. So this player over here doesn't have any trump, so maybe they play offsuit this 6. So if there's trump in the trick, it is the strongest trump, and so that is the 6 right now. But if you ever win with a trump, whether it's lead trump, like in this case, or if you were to short suit in and trump in, you will take one of these tokens over here, these thirst tokens. These are only important for scoring, so I'll cover that later. So this player won with the 6 of trump. They're going to put it in here. And now what's interesting is the winner of the trick, again, they get to choose one of the symbols present. They have 2 choices now. This one moves the trump suit. So they could change the trump to be either this suit, this kind of wheel suit, or back to that original, or the first trick where it has that little hand green beige. Or they could pick to change the power token. So let's say they did that instead. If you ever pick a power that wasn't the lead suit, you're going to take another, thirst token. And so this player decides to pick this one, and so they're going to flip it. So now lowest wins. So let's say this was a new trick and it looked like this. That would actually win because it was lowest is the strongest right now. But this player did win this trick. So then they're going to lead to the next trick. Here we are at the end of the next trick. It was led with this suit. So this is actually winning because, again, the power token got flipped, so the 1 is stronger than the 5. And so this player is going to win the trick, but they can choose which one they want to do. So they can either accumulate the trick by choosing this one, or they can actually change their bid. So they've already won one trick. Maybe they think they're okay, and they think they're going to win 3. They're going to decide to accumulate this trick. If they did choose this one, they would take this from their hand and choose any other card in their hand to go down. So they could actually just keep the same bid maybe and like swap cards in an interesting way. But let's say instead of doing that, they decided to accumulate the trick. How this one works is you're going to grab the trick, set it aside. The winner is going to lead again. So maybe they lead with the 2 again. This player goes like this. And then the winner of the trick is going to get the winner of the next trick is going to get this trick and any accumulated. So let's say this player decides to do the bid thing again. They decide to swap it out, have that be their bid. They would win both this trick and this trick. So now they do have 3 tricks. What's interesting is, rewinding it back, this player could have accumulated again. So then that would have still been over there. This one would have been accumulated again. It would have led into the trick again and started it over again. But if you ever win a trick, you'll always take that trick and any accumulated, but that can keep going. The one caveat, which is interesting, is let's say this was the very last trick and someone accumulates again, all accumulated and that very last trick will go to no one. So it's possible that you don't have 9 tricks go out to everyone in a 3-4 player game. So that's what all the powers do. Players are just going to play out those tricks, and then at the end of the round, once all the cards are played, they are going to go to scoring. Here we are at the end of the round, and how scoring works is there's 3 possible scenarios. You're either under your bid, over your bid, or you hit your bid exactly right. If you're over your bid, like this player over here, they bid 0, but they got a trick, you get no points at all. You were consumed by the magic, is what it says in the rulebook. If you're under your bid, like this player over here, they bid 5, they got 3. You're going to get a point per trick. So this player got 3 points. So 0, 3. But if you hit your bid exactly, 1, 2, 3, bid 3, you still get a point per trick. So that's 1, 2, 3. But also, this is where these kind of thirst little jewels come in handy, is you're going to look at the number of jewels other players have taken, not your own, and you're going to get a point per jewel that was taken. So this player over here, we got 1, 2, 3 for the number of tricks they got, but also 1, 2, 3 for the number of jewels players got. And again, you get a jewel if you win with a trump card, or if you decided to use a different suit than the lead suit for the power activation. So this player over here got 6 points, 3 from here and 3 from there. So that was 1 round. You're going to play 3 total rounds, resetting up the same way with trump and all the cards and everything. And at the end of those 3 rounds, whoever has the most points wins. And if it's a tie, it's whoever did the best in this last round. And that's how to play the Magic Shop. So that was the Magic Shop and 10, 12 heart. And also, we're going to be drinking lemon, ginger, and a touch of Manuka honey. And what's also funny is, as you can see, that one is really good. I like that one more than the Morningberry. But on the top here, I have an Osulak type tea. I think it's a Korean tea. The designer of the Magic Shop, when I bought this at Tokyo Game Market, was handing out little tea packets with it, which was so sweet and so cute. And it's great. I've had a chance to try it. I got a couple of them. I think it's, some Maron Grace Black. It's some moron. Anyway, Maron black teas. It was great. So let's cover the Magic Shop first. Why not? So, as with a variety of Jupiter Jupiter's Club games, they are in interesting containers. We haven't covered Quack Quack Corrupt Ducks, but we're hoping to. I believe that's also in a DVD case. And that one also had a disc. Oh man, this is just packed to the gills. So know that going into it, if you get this game, it is similar to like certain Oink games, very hard to maybe repackage in. But besides that, oh boy, what a wonderful production. From the Crown, reminiscence of 6 of 8, to Determined Trump, to the nice cards, to the type of cards, like they're a little flexible, a little thin, kind of laminated, what is this called? Linen finish? My gosh. But also, the corners are all rounded, and then the token's really nice, the CD's awesome, the little gems. It's just a wonderfully wonderfully done production, especially because I believe the CD has music on it, but it's also the board. I'm always nervous of like scratching the CD when I place it down, but my gosh. And I also love, small touch, but I think it's so impactful and so fun, is that even though the art is all the same on all the suit of a card, so like obviously the art's different on 2 different suits, but within a suit, there's different quotes on the 2 different cards. So like this one says "Go on," whereas this one says "There were 2 great panthers there." Don't know what that is, but it's really fun. Kind of like a poem, maybe? I haven't read them all in a row. Maybe it means something if you read them all in a row, but anywho, love it, love it. It has such a whimsy to it, kind of the art, the aesthetic, and everything. So huge ups to the production. So to the gameplay, it's funny they call it bid as you go because there's chances that you can't rebid, but there is a ton of flexibility in what you want your bid to be, which is really fun. I think it's clever to not only use a card from your hand, but also make every card in your hand also possibly be a 0 and a 3. It allows for when, like if I have a hand like this, where I have, you know, maybe a lot of zeros and I might want to shoot the moon, but I have this 1-8, I can toss this 8, flip it, and have it be the 0 as my bid. Really fun stuff. Also, I love that if you win with a trump, since it's strong, and since you had trump, you're going to be taking these thirst tokens that aren't necessarily bad, they're just maybe good for other players, which, if you think about it, is, I guess, kind of net 0-sum bad for you, but it's fun to think about that it possibly is only good for other players only if they hit their bid. So you can make it so they don't hit their bid, and then you can use as many of these tokens as you want, which is really, really fun. And then also the other way that you get tokens, getting to choose a different suit than the lead suit. So fun, so clever. I think most of the powers of the suits make sense. I think some of them make the game a little more wacky than I prefer. There's like the power flipping and then the card passing, which definitely leans to a little bit more tactical, but I think it makes sense because you still have that ability to bid as you go, and there will definitely be a chance for someone to at least bid as you go because that suit is in the game. But overall, I think all the different powers make sense. They work. I think my favorite is accumulate the trick. Mamma mia, this is my favorite mechanism in the game. Jamie Stigmeyer mode is because accumulating that trick is so fun because it's both mitigation if you didn't want that trick. It's also possibly moving up that trick later to then stuff someone with 2 tricks that wasn't expecting it. So it's a really fun multi-use tool, and also it's kind of fun just to, maybe you're getting it 3, you have 1, maybe I'll accumulate now, and if I lose this one, whatever, I think I can get a couple other tricks later. But it's one of those things that like it builds tension in a fun way, and also the rule that like if you accumulate all the way to the end, it just goes to no one is really, really, really fun. So it's actually, there's an ability in the game to not have a full number of tricks go out. So like even though you're bidding on, I think it's 9 tricks or so, depending on the player count, there might not always be 9 tricks to go out. So fun, so clever. Anywho, I think overall, really fun things in the game. I do think it's just a little wacky at times. Like I said, the powers of like card passing or flipping up and down. There's maybe a few too many elements in this kitchen sink game, but overall, production is really fun. Box is really hard to fit it back into, but hey, what are you gonna do? Gameplay is a nice loop. I almost wish there were like more tricks, but it does make sense why it's like 0 and 3. But I almost want to like stay in this world a little bit longer. Like sometimes with the trump moving, will only move like once or twice. Like it never really goes around to the other suits. But I guess that's something you can play off of, where like the suit that is opposite the red, like the blue suit, is less likely to ever be trump. So there's some things you can kind of play off of there. And especially because every time you bid, you always have a chance of 0 and 3. You usually shoot for 0 or 3. So there's some things you can play off of, even though there's like some wacky stuff. So overall, I think it's a fun time. That is the Magic Shop. I was gonna lift it back up to show you, but it's sprawled open, and the DVD case is really hard to pick up after all the elements are everywhere, like as you can see here. Yep. So that is the Magic Shop. And so now we are going to cover 10-12 Heart. So this, I had interesting expectations. So if you know the history of this designer, if I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but they did Nikos Dice, which I think is one of the best trick-taking games. I think it's often rated one of the highest, most fan-loved, critically rated trick-taking games. Just a hoot. Absolute hoot. And then they came out with Final Binary, which I thought was a fascinating concept. It was bid as you go, but you're like, every time you bid, you're changing how much you boost the ranks of your cards. I thought that was just a little overly fiddly, too much unnecessary stuff going on. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze, kind of the epitome of that phrase turned into a game. So high, middle. So I'm wondering what 10 of heart is. Well, tough game to cover or kind of give a hot take on, because there are essentially 3 different roles, and it's 4-player only. So you have the mastermind role, you have the players A, B, I'm going to group them together, and then you have the C player who plays kind of like the foil. I found that the very start of the game is definitely like a screeching halt. You're waiting for a long time for the mastermind to, unless they willy-nilly it and have just like a very loose, fun vibes way for them to do that role. There's a lot going on. There's 3 hands they have to parse. There's a lot of columns they have to parse. Exactly 2 1s. How many 7s? Like, there's a lot of very specific things that could just go wrong in a trick-taking game. So there's a lot to think about is all I'm going to say. So the mastermind role, every time I've played, the player has sat there and galaxy brained, mathed it all out. Jimmy Neutron brain blasted it, and it takes a bit. So just be warned. Maybe play a 3-player game while you're waiting for the mastermind, or maybe just be like a normal person and just hang out and chat. But I mean, we're playing games here, so I've had players bounce off. I have players not like the mastermind role, so you can also just like play it a few times. It's kind of like in Deception, Murder of Hong Kong, where it's like some players can be the forensic scientists if they don't want to be a part of like the I might be a villain, I might not, and they don't like the social deduction bluffing. They can play a social deduction game by playing that forensic scientist role, so they're always good, they're always helping out, they're just having a good time. Similarly, like in Mastermind, I've had players be like, I don't really like the Mastermind role. I'll just be players A, B, and C. Thank you very much. Vice versa, I've had players really not like the A and B roles because, and I've felt this way when I've played them, the Mastermind has looked at your hand and they use, trick-taking logic to find out what's going to go happen. Jeez Louise. What's going to happen in the hand. And so you are kind of pushed into that thinking, right? Like you are looking at your hand and you're like, okay, the highest of this suit, they probably thought it was going to win a trick, so I need to win with that trick. I can't like really fluff with it. And so like low cards I want to lose with, high cards I want to win with. It's very like standard. Sometimes it's fun to play in a trick-taking game where you look at your hand, you're like, this 9, highest of a suit, I'm going to get short-suited and throw it off. I'm not going to win with that one. Or like whatever it is, right? So A and B are kind of put into a cookie cutter feeling, and you kind of sit there and you're like, I'm doing what I'm told, kind of. So there's that feeling. I do think player C is fun. It's like, I think for me, I love the mastermind. I think it's super fun to galaxy brain. Like obviously I like trick taking, like the channel, everything I'm obsessed with kind of goes into this game, that mastermind role where I'm like, oh yeah, I think this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen. And I feel like Charlie from It's Always Sunny with all like the strings lined up. I'm like, this is perfectly gonna happen, yes, and then it does, or it doesn't, and it's fun. So I love the mastermind role. I think that would be thumbs up. That'd be a seal of a Taylor's trophy seal. I think it's a good time. But I do feel guilty taking a super long time doing that role, so I don't love that. I always have this like internal guilt of like making people wait. Even when I'm like the clue giver in Codenames, I'm like, sorry, I'm trying to think as hard as I can. It's like when someone wants you to like read something, like they'll hold up their phone and be like, read this, and it's a paragraph, and I'll be reading it, and I'm like, am I reading too slow? And I realize I'm reading something, and I'm forgetting, I'm not actually reading, and I have to go back and read, and then I'm like, I'm definitely reading too slow. Anyway, my gosh, I think that's it's just my brain and anxiety. But anyway, Mastermind role is on one person, it takes a long time. The other 2 people feel kind of cookie cutter, so I don't think that's too great. Player C though, they're doing foiling stuff. That's fun. I think that's good. I think I would rate it as like Mastermind S. Player C is an A. Player A and B are like Fs or Ds. So I don't know what to say about this game. It's a weird one. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not, because obviously like it moves around. And I'm not like one of those like, I don't want to be mean, one of those types of people who, if I do the mastermind, I have a great time, and then it comes to me and I have to be A and B to let other people be the mastermind. I don't mind that. I'm having a good time. Like, if I have a friend who really loves being the mastermind, I'll be A and B all day. That's a good time. I'm just saying, if I had a random trick-taking game where you're always A or always B, it's not the most fun. Anywho, so feels like a little bit of like a super brain puzzle for one player, and then they hope that it plays out, and it feels like a color by numbers for A through B, and then C, it feels like a fun time. So I don't know what to rate this, you know? It's a weird one. I will say that one really clever twist is when I was playing, I was like, oh, the mastermind thinks about all this stuff, and then the other people play a trick-taking game, and they kind of sit out of it. And I thought it was like the mastermind kind of watching, and that the beginning part, the setup would be fun for the mastermind, but the trick-taking wouldn't be fun for the mastermind. But it's so fun for the mastermind for two reasons. One, you're seeing if your plans work out, right? So that's super fun. But also, oh, such a clever touch, such a wonderful design touch. Every time it comes to you, instead of playing a card into the trick, you are choosing to reveal a certain information. And at the start, you only reveal one for A and one for B. So clever. I love this. I think the mastermind's so awesome. This is so... I think people should play this because the mastermind role is so fun. But then it's also, it feels like I'm playing like a bridge solo puzzle to get better at bridge. And then I have humans, I'm watching these like NPC humans play and see if they follow my plans. Anywho, good times for the mastermind. Meh times for A and B, and okay for player C. So that is 10-12 Heart. I don't know what to... I hope that makes any sense. If you can get anything out of that review. And then this lemon ginger manuka honey. Awesome. I think it's better than the morning berry. So shout out to this tea. So that was Magic Shop and 10-12 Heart. Day 2 out of the book. 2 turtle doves. I hope you kiss somebody. Happy Trickmas. We'll see you 10 more days. Bye.